The primary purpose of this podcast is to inform and educate. The information and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the official position of the Life Saving Society of Ontario.
Hello and welcome to the Lifeguard for Life podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Bacalar, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Jollicoeur. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Stephanie. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So what have you been up to since our last podcast?
Well, I mean, if you can tell by my slightly raspy voice, I have a bit of an allergies, bit of a cold. So not much lately, but I have been doing a lot of swimming with my girls, and I just wanted to brag for the masses, all of our listeners. I just wanted a moment to brag about how great my girls are doing with their swimming. So I have the 3-year-old and the 20-month-old, and they are both now getting objects off the bottom. And my 3-year-old is jumping in and swimming short distances by herself. And these are kids who didn't get swimming lessons because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
These are kids who have missed out. So I've been really kind of like, I hope that they get in the water, and I hope they love it as much as I do, and they do, and I am thrilled.
Yes.
So
Future
that's
lifeguards
kind of,
in the making.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I asked Ellie yesterday if she was going to be a lifeguard, and she said, "No, I'm going to be a mummy." And I was like, "Oh, you have lots of time for that. Let's start with lifeguarding. Let's please become a lifeguard before you become a mummy." But yeah. So what have you been up to?
I have actually been doing some stuff for life saving. So I taught another online credit session. It was actually my biggest class last week. I had 19 students. So it was great. And they were really engaging. So it was nice to see they all participated. We're also actually, Patrick and I are doing a session together at the area chair conference this weekend on the aquatic staff shortage. So we did prep that and got that ready to go. And actually, I forgot on Friday, on Good Friday, pool was closed. So I got a bunch of my staff to kind of volunteer for a couple hours. We brought them back out, and we filmed a bunch of stuff that we hopefully are going to use for bronze and NL resources.
Oh, wonderful.
And you're going to have to help us with it. So surprise.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
That's great.
So tonight,
yeah,
who do we have on with us?
We have Cynthia Cakebread on, who is like something of a legend at the Life Saving Society. I feel like, I know when I worked in the office, I could never quite pin down what she did, like what her role was. I was like, she's the area chair, or does she work in this, or does she work in that? And she talks a bit about that in our interview and all the different sort of
roles she's done over the years.
She has her fingers in. But you actually know her quite well.
Yes, I worked for her since 1999 up until about 2 years ago, when I moved to Woodstock. So I've traveled with her, volunteered with her, worked with her for like 20 years ish.
And wonderful person, wonderful person, super knowledgeable. We're so excited to have her on the episode today because she really lives and breathes the area chair world. She gets it. And we're going to let her chat with us and share what area chairs do.
Yeah. So let's bring her on. Okay, great. It's great to see you, Cynthia. Thanks for joining our Lifeguard for Life podcast. We're here tonight to talk all about area chairs in Ontario and how they can help us. But first, do you mind just giving us a little background about yourself?
Well, I am Cynthia Cakebread. I currently work as the manager of recreation and culture for the town of Essex. And I've been doing that for just about 23 years, I think, or in my 23rd year. And I did a couple of years before that in the town of Tecumseh, and worked for the city of Windsor. I spent a summer in the Northwest Territory. So lots of background in aquatics, and leading up to now in a great job with the town. And on the volunteer side, I have been a volunteer with the Life Saving Society. I don't even want to say it, but like 30 years. Like I think I started when I was a lifeguard in the 90s doing tag days at the beer store with Ken Little. And
what are tag days? I'm intrigued.
We would hang out, shake people down. store, we would try and shake them down for the return money. So that was
as like a fundraiser, basically. For
It was a fundraiser.
Great idea.
It was a funny thing, right? We were like education. We'd hand out like a little sticker and say, you know, it's for drowning prevention. There was I support drowning prevention stickers that you would give to people. And, you know, if they had questions, but we were there and we had our little cups and they put their coins in it. We give them a sticker, and that was at least, I think, every summer. So 3 or 4 summers we did that.
You and Ken Little doing that too. I feel like you probably chased a few people down. Maybe
sure.
got a little rough.
Yeah, I have like a great picture of me from back then too. I look so young and fresh, and I'm wearing like my drowning prevention shirt, and yeah, hanging out at the beer store, my favorite place in the world.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great. So that's kind of where I started. And, you know, as I started working in my full-time position, you know, going to Ken and saying, well, what more can I do at this point? Or how do I get more involved? And at that time, Ken moved up into the area services chair, and that made a vacancy in the area chair for Windsor Essex. So my cousin David and I became co-chairs because David was a lifeguard. So we co-chaired Area 1 for, oh gosh, I don't know, 3-4 years. And then he moved to London, and I kind of held the reins of it until Julie Dolly, who was the VP of Member Services, made the decision to move into president-elect and onward through president. And so she called me and said, you know, you should consider, you know, if you're interested in the vice president. And I said, nope. And I hung up on her because I had like no desire whatsoever. And then she called me a couple more times, and she, you know, massaged the idea. And I put my name forward, and you know, I don't regret it now that I'm in the role. Like my biggest thing was I really loved being the area chair. I loved being at that front level with the people in my area. And I was afraid that, oh, there's going to be a gap, but at the end of the day, there isn't, because there's still so much opportunity to interact with your affiliates and the other people in the organization at a local level, no matter what role you hold at the society. So that's been a nice turn of events.
Yeah. And I know COVID probably has slowed this down, but you're also quite involved in sport, I know.
Yeah, you know what, I really had a lot of fun working in a lot of different areas of the society. Sport is kind of my number 2. I have been officiating now. Basically, I started officiating the same year I became an area chair. So in '98, that was my first summer working at an event. And, you know, again, kind of like, oh, I like this. And I started out doing just a pool event. Then I started doing waterfront, and then national opportunities came up, and eventually international opportunities came up. And that's been another big side. Yeah. And then I've also played a little bit with safety management. I've been really, really fortunate to jump on some safety audits with Michael. And again, it's really getting a good cross section of what the society does. So I feel like I've had my fingers in a lot of different pies, and I think that it really helps me in my role a lot better as well by doing more than just one activity center.
Yeah, especially working as an area chair, because when you have all of that experience, then when someone has a question, you know the answer, and it's not just like, you know, I know who to direct you to. I know the answer firsthand.
Yeah.
Because you've really done it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can explain a bit for us about like, what is the role of an area chair? Like, why do area chairs exist within the society, and what is their place?
Well, I'll tell you, we are an anomaly in Canada. None of the other provinces have it. We are viewed very highly on that they're like, wow, to be able to develop that kind of volunteer base, to have that representation. And I mean, primarily, you know, the textbook answer is they are the local representative for leadership and the society in like I would say like a designated geographical area, right? So I'm Area 1, Windsor, Essex. Area 2 is Chatham, Kent. But it allows us to have a good spread of people throughout the province where you have somebody in the north. You have Penny LaCour, who's been an area chair for like 50 years. So she's a real touchstone, right? So she comes with a lot of history. She's in a location that is, you know, remote, but she does a really great job of being relevant and present to her affiliates. So she can, you know, direct and guide them in that leadership role.
So I'm back into aquatics pretty recently, as a supervisor in Woodstock. So being back into aquatics, maybe I want to reach out to my area chair for some assistance. Do you have some suggestions as what types of support an area chair could provide? And that might be like supports for lifeguards, might be for instructors, it could be for programmers. Kind of feel out the question and see how you want to answer it. But what types of supports could they offer?
They're great for communication just with the affiliate members, right? For an affiliate who gets some communication from the office or something they don't understand about a program, systems or processes, helping out with finding examiners, doing the examiner mentorships, things like that. So it's high level in the sense of like they're there as a I can answer the questions, and they're there on a very direct level on talking to people about, you want to progress your qualifications, here's how you do that. You want to become an examiner mentor, here's how you do that. They can link you up with different areas, right? I'm going away to school. Well, here's who the area chair is in, the Waterloo area. They might be able to direct you to the affiliates that are close to where you might be going to school, things like that. So it comes with everything from education to assistance, guidance, mentorship, and just being present in everything, right? And it can be direct even from the affiliate level to the individual. As an individual, if you're taking programs and you have questions about the processes of those programs, you have questions related to the courses that you're taking, the instructors that are teaching, it can be good and bad, right? There's sometimes a mediator in between. I've come from an exam, I'm not happy with the outcome of that exam. Maybe I can, talk to my area chair, and they can take the information and go back to the affiliate and the examiners and say, tell me how we got to this point, and making sure that the exam was run appropriately, must-sees were used, sometimes interpreting because we have younger candidates who hear one thing, but that's not really what's being said to them. So it's really deciphering information for them sometimes as well. So.
Yeah, I think I remember too.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was just wondering, would you safely say there's no wrong question to ask your area chair?
Absolutely.
Reach out, send an email or whatever, reach out, ask your questions, and they're there to support you. And if you don't have the answer, you'll find it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the office is also very good about utilizing their area chairs when they're getting generalized answers or questions at the office. The first thing they'll say is, I'm going to give you your area chair contact information to give them a call first. They want us to kind of tackle it first, be the front line. And then if we need to escalate it, that's, it's the area chair that makes the decision on when it needs to go higher, or if it can be, flames put out or questions answered.
It's a key relationship to have when you're in any type of aquatics. Any connection you have with the licensing side of your area chair is someone you want to know who they are.
Yeah, and they're going to be really good about helping you out as the individual or the affiliate. And again, from the affiliate standpoint, it could be helping them with program information, right? Or, trying to, I don't want to say push programs, but also show the benefits of running certain programs, or the benefit of different ways of running programs, or activities that can be run, getting other affiliates to talk to each other, right? So they're linking that and saying, here's someone that ran the program in this area. They can probably give you some information or tips. So they are very much that central communications hub, and then saying, what can I answer? Who can I direct them to? How can I guide them?
That's good. I remember too, when I was a young examiner, I was doing one of my first bronze med or cross exams. I can't remember which. And halfway through the exam, I was realizing this class just isn't ready. But I wasn't quite sure how to handle it. So I remember calling my area chair and just having a conversation with them, hey, this is what the class is at. As an examiner, I know I'm an instructor first, but the whole class really isn't ready, and they probably doesn't have enough time to prepare. So we kind of came up with a plan together that we, all felt comfortable with, and to make sure that candidates were going to be successful too. We didn't want to just, fail everyone.
Yeah.
So in that moment, right. So in that moment, we did end up I spent the rest of the exam just kind of teaching, and then we scheduled the affiliate scheduled one more class to practice, and I came back and did the exam again, and it worked out. That worked out great. But it was just nice having that support in the moment, because I was pretty nervous. It was my first exam, right? And then I was able to kind of come up with a plan with my area chair that was going to work for the candidates too. so they could be successful.
And work for the affiliate, right? Because that's
Yeah.
sometimes the question. Because sometimes having that again outside third party that says, talk to the examiner, chat about this, and they can come and be a little objective and saying, are you able to do this or accommodate this additional time, right? Or things like that, working with them. Yeah.
Okay, so if someone is looking to get in touch with their area chair, what do they do? How do they go about that? Where do they find it?
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's as easy as going to an affiliate they're familiar with, right? I usually swim at Essex. I'm going to call the Essex pool and say, if I need to get more information, who should I talk to? Well, I guess saying Essex is a bad example because the area chair is in Essex right now. If somebody from Tecumseh, they could call, the town of Tecumseh and say, oh, in my area, who could I talk to or get more information on this? They're going to direct them to the area chair. You can call the office. We get a lot of referrals from the office back. We get, just people that share, the internet is great. You can get on the website and look at the Life Saving Society website, and it'll direct you there who your area chairs are. Well, but I think more often than not, it's a referral versus somebody being able to find us or search it down, things like that.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. When I started teaching more advanced leadership courses, I realized that some of the candidates might want to get in touch with area chairs now that they're doing maybe a National Lifeguard instructor course, for example. Yep. So I started including it in the beginning. Hey, this is your area chair. Same. This is their contact information. Yeah. If you need to ever get a hold of them, you have it. So at least that information was getting to that level. But I like your idea too, like talk to your local pools, call the office, and get referred back. Yeah. So do you have any other questions, or Cynthia, do you have anything you will kind of want to, we maybe didn't ask something you really want to talk about? Or is there something that else you want to mention about area chairs and how they can support affiliates?
I think, again, looking for just support in a lot of times, understanding all of the different programs and services that are available through the society. The area chairs are going to be really good about either knowing what the answers are or directing you properly, right? So there's so many layers of types of programs, activities, even, going through like safety management, getting an audit, right? If you're going to be in a municipality that's building a new pool, bring your area chair into that conversation, because maybe they can help and take a look at, what's the pool that you've got, what do the drawings look like, and then bring that forward and say, the society has these types of programs to review those drawings if you want, or, you've been open for 10 or 15 years, coming in and having a safety audit done at that point in your facilities is a great idea, just to see that are we still operating properly, efficiently, things like that. Services in terms of programs, but also just general services, right? And how to develop the lifeguarding plan, right? How do you work with staff or do staff development, training ideas? I called the society a couple months ago because we're, looking at, we have a waterfront, and the very first thing, not a guarded waterfront, but they wanted to put a buoy line out. And the first thing I said is, if you're going to consider that, you should talk to the Life Saving Society first and have them have a look at our beach and area and see if they can make recommendations on where that buoy line should be versus us guessing. So stuff like that. Just thinking too, it can help with just assessing leadership training, right? Like trying to develop courses or interests. And they're the ones too, that if you're looking like, I can't find an examiner, I can't find an instructor, I can't find a trainer, things like that. They can also be the ones that know who those instructor, examiner, trainers are, but also looking where there are shortages and where there needs to be a development of that program, and working with affiliates to be able to try and offer those programs. I think that's an important one, especially now with our shortages and staff shortages, looking for ways to develop our staff in fuller ways. So yeah, they're always going to have the finger on the pulse of where there's gaps in the services. That's
a good point too, right? Because area chairs kind of know where there's potential gaps in their region and can talk to those affiliates and say, hey, you should probably start running some examiner classes or some National Lifeguard instructor classes because you're getting pretty short in your area.
And also the mentor program's like a great way as well. And I love it because it really forces people to get in touch to start developing those people, and that there's bigger conversations that occur as a result of it. So that automatically, before it was like you submitted a piece of paper for the examiner, and the area chair would kind of hopefully do a little, like, if they don't know the person, check on it. But the new mentor program really creates I think a more organic interaction and evaluation and development of our examiners now. So I think that's been a big positive in the last few years.
That's great. It does sound, Stephanie, like there's quite a few resources or just general help that you can get from area chair.
And I think it's important to remember that they're there. I know, like, when I was working in aquatics and kind of struggling a few times and thinking like, why don't I just make that phone call? But you're thinking like, oh, I need this, or like, this isn't working, or how could I? And I think especially in small areas, like, we struggle with having examiners or having, like the actual courses, the exams, to have the seasonal staff trained and those sorts of things. And so a lot of the times you're like, everybody's traveling and going all over the place. And it's like, they could have helped you bring someone in maybe from another area that's next to you, or, you know what I mean? They can help facilitate those kinds of conversations and really help you out. One other thing I'd like to talk about is the area chair conference, and sort of that I think is a really interesting tool for all the area chairs to get the knowledge, the annual refresh and updates, and that's sort of how they get all their information. So can you just speak a little bit to how that sort of operates and what the benefits are?
For one thing, being able to bring all of our area chairs together, it's been challenging the last 2 years. I'm sure you know. Last year we ran a virtual conference for the first time, and it was monster learning curve. I think we did a really great job in the sessions that we ran. A lot of them, the feedback was we wish they were longer, the sessions, because they felt they were valuable. They thought the flexibility of the virtual was great as well. They loved the idea that, I might not have been able to come in person, but I was able to hop on and off on those virtual. This year, we made the decision to go to every other year. So we're going to do virtual 1 year, in person the next, because we miss that. Again, when you're not in person, you don't have those sidebar conversations. And that's a big one, I think, for people to meet from all over the province, to have a little chit chatty. You don't think about it till you're in a little conversation. This year threw us off. So we had to flip and go back to a virtual format this year. We will hopefully return to in person, but even this year, right, like coming up with the session topics, we go and talk to the other activity centers and say, do you have anything pressing? We kind of go amongst my area chair council and, say, what are you hearing from your area chairs? What's the questions that they're getting? Where do they need more information? Sometimes it's based around what are new programs being released? Is there updates that we haven't done in a while? Is there pressing issues? And we try and develop our content based on that. So usually we get together in person and we have a little mini think tank. This year we kind of did it, we had to do it virtually, and the same thing. We were like, here are like the 4 or 5 things that we're going to do. And then it's also creative for me, because I have to do, there's a president social. So we're like, how do you do last year we're like, okay, we'll just get on and we'll play a little trivia and do that. And then this year we got way more creative, and we're doing an option between a sip and paint and a cheese pairing. So
can I get an invite?
So like fantastic, right? So I think the whole development of virtual stuff. And then we also have routine core content that we cover every year, because they're like, that was so valuable. And when we redeveloped was we often put them in their areas together, right? So Toronto or GTA has a group, South has a group, East has a group, West. And they do have two times where specifically they get together as their full areas to go through some things. And I always felt as an area chair is like, I love these guys, but I'd love to like sit with people from Ottawa. I'd love to sit with this. So I came up with this idea of the area chair snowball. So I don't know if you had these in grade school, like the grade school dances where there's a dance and you're dancing with your, whatever, and then they yell snowball and you have to switch partners. So I 2 years ago when we were in person, so over 3 years ago, I did an area chair snowball where we started off and I had like 10 questions, and it was like you had 4 or 5 minutes at a table And it was like, I would say snowball, if you have something red on, move to the table to the right. And only those people would move. And then, you know, the next one was if you have glasses on, stand and move to the left and go through that question. And it wasn't about recording answers. It wasn't about getting in really deep in the weeds. It was a quick question about, you know, what's something new that you've done in your area that you thought was incredible. And they just get a chance to rat-a-tat-tat answer. And it's like that, okay, we've been here 2 minutes, snowball. So, you know, got people moving, got them into totally different groupings, and they got a chance to, you know, talk and hear things that were going on from all over, not just in their little section of the province, which are really
like
cool.
area chair speed dating.
It's exactly it. It's totally it. That's it. It's speed dating, but I just love going snowball. So on the virtual one, we're doing kind of the same, but you know, Zoom breakout rooms are great because we basically say, you know, we set it for 3 minutes, ask the question, they all come back in the room, and then they're thrown out in totally different randomized groups again. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's interesting and I'm lucky because I get to rotate through all the rooms and kind of see what everybody, like how the different groupings, how different people, you know, kind of respond together, who the real talkers are versus people that are just listening. But it's
and
nice.
that's this upcoming weekend, correct?
We are this weekend, right? So
that's exciting.
It is. I think I've had a couple emails about people that are really super excited about it. And again, you know, the in-person side of it is really missing. And I even noticed it from the board level, right? That it's, you get on, you do your meeting, you get off. Whereas, you know, when you have that meeting, you end up, like, I'm standing next to Gary Sanger and I'm like, oh, you know, like what's going on with this? And that'll lead into another conversation that leads into another conversation. And then all of a sudden it's like, I never thought about that. So,
a little more learning might happen right in those situations.
More knowledge sharing and brainstorming.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get back in person, but I'm glad that we've been able to do at least something for them. And even if it's virtually, bring us together. And we've worked in, like I said, we have the President's Social, which is going to be tons of fun for us. But you know, we've set up to have the breakfast. You have to get on, have breakfast, and we're going to play a game or do a little activity kind of thing just to get people in and around and chatting.
Yeah. Well, that is wonderful. And I think overall, area chairs, again, as we've said a few times, are so valuable. Thank you so much for coming on and having this chat with us and explaining it for the listeners. I hope that everybody gets what they need out of this and learned a lot about area chairs and is reaching out to theirs. I hope we see a large uptick in the reach outs to area chairs after this.
I hope I'm just like, I better not have opened up a can of worms.
No, it's perfect.
They're going to be like, why are all these people calling me? No, it'll be great. Exactly. Actually, I think the one thing is our area chairs are very good about, I think they do feel like they want to talk to more and share more and get out there more. So that'd be great.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and have fun this weekend at the conference.
I totally will. The cheese.
Thank you. Okay, that was great having Cynthia on, right, Stephanie? A lot of knowledge there, very involved with the Life Saving Society. And we wanted to make sure people knew how to contact their area chair. So, Stephanie, if they went to lifesavingsociety.com, how would they find the link?
So just click in the search bar on the top, what is this, my right? The top right-hand side, and search area chairs with an S, area chairs, and you're going to get the whole list of area chairs for each area. I don't know if we actually mentioned this, but there are like 30 areas, and then there's extra areas for Toronto is like split into 4.
And then
and I think some of them are like B, like 8, there's 18A, 18B, stuff like that. So there are a lot of areas. So get a little curious, dig around and find your area. If you can't figure out exactly which one is yours, are you A or B or whatnot, just contact the Life Saving Society as always.
Yeah. And this is nice too, because it says the person that who the area chair is, their phone number, and you can send them an email. So it's a very quick and easy way to get a hold of them. Yeah. So what's our next topic?
So our next topic is actually going to be really helpful, I think, for our affiliates. It's all about seasonal openings. It's for seasonal affiliates, tips, tricks, what do you need to do Where do you get your information? All that kind of stuff. So really just getting you ready for summer. If you're,
you're thinking like those outdoor pools, those waterfronts, those camps, all those seasonal affiliates that start opening up any day now.
We're going to get you ready.
So I'm pretty excited about it. And as always, if you want to see us do a topic, or if you have questions for us, email us at lifeguard4lifepodcast@gmail.com. And that's the number 4, lifeguard4lifepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, Stephanie. Have a great night.